Welcome back, headbangers. Today, I'm spinning the wax with Mlny Parsonz of Royal Thunder, and we're listening to Adam Faucett's It Took the Shape of a Bird. Don't go anywhere, it all starts right now. Yo, what is up, metalheads? Welcome back, or welcome to Spinning the Wax, where we listen to your favorite artists' favorite records. I'm your host, John Garcia, aka Stay Puffed, the metal marshmallow, and your friendly neighborhood headbanger. My next guest is bassist and powerhouse vocalist Mlny Parsonz from Atlanta's Royal Thunder, one of my favorite bands, so I am so stoked for what you're about to hear. Mlny is not only an incredible musician and a singer that can make you feel every emotion that exists, but she's also a lovely, open, and genuine person that I really love sitting down to chat with. With that emotion in mind, Mlny brings on a record from Arkansas singer-songwriter Adam Faucett, 2018's It Took the Shape of a Bird. While Adam's blend of folk rock, Americana, rock and roll, and alt country is not the normal style of heavy that we usually have around here, songs like Dust, Central Avenue, Living on the Moon, and Rain, All Be Yours will carve a chunk out of your heart just like it did the first time that Mlny saw him live. Mlny chats about discovering Adam at a wedding that Royal Thunder were playing back in the day, and how his music is so cinematic and evocative it makes her feel both amazing and terrible at the same time. She also discusses their differing approaches to lyric writing and storytelling, and how she very much values authenticity in the artists that she listens to. We also have a solid back and forth interpreting his songs in completely different ways, and it organically brings up some really intense and heavy topics, such as Mlny still processing the death of her father. So trigger warning, we do talk about suicide in this episode. Don't worry though, Mel's laptop dies right in the middle of all of that to reset our downer conversation back to normal, and she shares why she plays music in the first place and how she hopes to make people feel a little bit less alone with her art. If you're a fan of Mlny, of Royal Thunder, of Adam Faucett, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Share this video with some of your favorite metal and folk rock friends, and consider heading over to patreon.com/spinningthewax to support this show directly, where you'll get early access to these episodes, exclusive content, new music updates, and uncut album listens to enjoy like you were in the room with us. Also, during the show, we chat about how we weren't sure whether this album was the latest piece of music Adam has put out or not, whether he's had anything since then. And lo and behold, like a week after we recorded this, he released a new song called Anything for Sleep. It's really good. Go check it out when you're done listening to this episode. Now, without further ado, this is episode 21 of Spinning the Wax, where Mlny Parsonz of Royal Thunder listens to It Took the Shape of a Bird by Adam Faucett. Please welcome Mlny Parsonz to Spinning the Wax. Mlny, it is so good to have you. Thank you for coming on. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I just got back from a little bike ride, and I feel pretty good. I'm excited to sit down and listen to this album with you, and you're also pretty cool too. So.
No, I appreciate it. Oh, thank you so much. Kind words. You're talking like motorcycle bike, right? Because it is gorgeous weather outside right now.
No, not today,
Okay.
but I'm talking about a bicycle.
There you go.
My other bike has an engine.
You're going out and actually like being healthy and exercising and getting out in the day rather than just,
Yeah,
like,
it's too
going
pretty
for
to
it.
not enjoy it.
Dude, seriously, yeah, I was just telling you before we got on about how I was like, no, I'm actually going to enjoy myself yesterday, and I spent my morning like mowing my lawn because it was like, I guess that's what you do when you have a house and you have to like take care of it and shit like that. But like,
Yeah.
I enjoy doing that stuff because it gets me out and like working on my like little small plot of land or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah, hands in the dirt, man. It cleanses your mind.
That's
Literally
it.
grounds you.
Yeah, seriously. I don't even know. I probably have dirt in my fingernails from working out there today. Also, like the dogs get me out there a lot too. So just like it is perfect weather sort of for this type of music as long as you're trying to, feel sad and like in your head and stuff like that. But before we talk about Mr. Adam Faucett, I'm curious, the last time we spoke was in Nashville on your little like mini tour with Michael Randolph Cumming and doing your acoustic guitar stuff and bars and stuff like that. It was towards the end of that, but how did that show in Atlanta go? How, looking in hindsight off that tour that you did, kind of, almost as like an experiment type of deal, how do you feel that that went for you, and what do you think you got out of it?
Um, it pegged me down a little bit to realize that my level of confidence is not as high when I'm by myself without my fellow bandmates.
Interesting.
And it made it very challenging. And it was like another level of vulnerability that I hadn't really tapped into in front of other people.
Yeah.
So it was a little hard to like let my guard down. But in the end, by the time I got to Atlanta, and I don't think it was because it was Atlanta, maybe it was, but it felt to me like something familiar, like the vision I had in my head for what it would look like if I was going to go out and do something by myself. So in the end, I was like, that was a great experience because of the challenge,
Mhm.
because of how unfamiliar that territory was for me. I grew a lot. Um, and I got to spend time with my friend Mike, and we got on a deeper level there, and it was cool. And Atlanta was really good. I felt really happy when I looked out there and saw a lot of friends and felt very supported. And I'm actually doing it again in July
Oh,
in Atlanta,
cool. Oh, awesome.
just one show.
Okay, yeah, well, that's what I was gonna ask too. I was on if something that would either you'd want to do again, or if that might lead you to like, I mean, speaking of the artist that we're gonna be talking about today, who pretty much just goes up and does his thing type of deal. I don't know if that might lead to any type of like solo stuff that you want to might do on your own. But obviously, like Royal Thunder is still a big part of your life and stuff like that. So I don't know. How do you feel like that's kind of like balancing, or is that just like a well, you went and you did it, and it was a cool experiment, and you felt like it was good to get out of your comfort zone and explore more stuff, and we'll leave it there.
That was almost my mentality, but that was my like way out of it, just because
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a fear based, like, that was cool. I'm just gonna leave it there. But after I thought about it, I decided not to like go out and tour solo. Who knows what the future holds? I don't
sure,
know.
sure.
But as the opportunities come up, I'm just like, fuck it, yeah, let's go, let's do it. Like I'm gonna feel a little bit more comfortable every time, and like I said, like it's being that vulnerable in front of people. Like I know how to be vulnerable with myself by myself, writing
Mhm.
solo and doing my thing, but putting that out there is something I long to do. So it's gonna come out, and I think that was a catalyst for that. But I think if my gut is correct, it's probably going to trickle into Royal Thunder
Yeah.
and the music we make there, and because that's my happy place.
Well, exactly, and that's what I was thinking too, as far as like you already have this creative outlet that you've had for so long of your life, right? It would have, I feel like for artists to, want to do a solo thing or even something really different from whatever main vehicle that they have to have something that they want to say or like a different way of wanting to express themselves. And, I figure that a lot of your mind is taken up with Royal Thunder right now, so it might be, if it were ever to happen, when it might be a little bit. But I'm glad that you're at least kind of thinking about that as well, and also with how long your road has been already, kind of going back to like we're basically going back to the fucking start on this one and like tried it out and doing this thing. I think that that's fucking cool.
Yeah, me too. So who knows? I'm not, I'm an open person. So whatever the future holds, as long as it's cool and it's good for me, I'm in.
Oh yeah. And I'm down and I'll listen to it however it comes out, which But let's transition into talking about the record that you have chosen, because I do think it does bridge a lot, like the conversation that we were just talking about, as well as a lot of similarities and differences in you know, the music that you listen to, the music that you create and perform. So tell me about this record, Adam Faucett and his, I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know if it's like Faucet or something like that. If with It Took the Shape of a Bird.
So this album is I don't know if it's his latest album. I believe it is. I don't think he's put anything out since.
Hmm.
I could be wrong about that,
I
but
haven't seen anything, and I was going to
okay.
ask about that. But yeah, so it looks like his latest album.
Yeah. So I actually there's a little bit of a backstory to like discovering Adam Faucett. So when we started touring back with our like OG drummer Jesse, um, this was like we started touring in like 2005, and we had this red conversion van that belonged to the Squirrel Nut Zippers at one point, and they sold it to this band Thunderlip, and then Thunderlip sold it to us for like God, I think it was like $100 or something, like 100
Oh
or
fuck
500.
yeah,
Been a minute.
yeah.
So we used to travel around in this, and we would book like shows up the East Coast as far as that van could take us, which was usually like Arkansas, Mississippi, whatever. So we're like booking these shows, and we're playing in these like really fucking like sketch bars and like just cool spots, DIY spots, and we're coming down and we're on the way to Georgia. I'm like, man, we really need to like find a show. Let's stop in Mississippi. So long story short, we played at this bar, and we made friends with about 10 people that owned a tattoo shop, and they had like it was like 5 of them in the shop, and then all of their like significant others and friends. So there was this group of people, and they were kind of the only people there watching us, and
Mm.
we were like we're hanging out, and we developed this relationship with them over time. And every time we'd come through Mississippi, we play. So one day, years later, there's a couple within that group of people that are getting married, and like, hey, you Royal Thunder, will you play our wedding? We're like, fuck yeah, we'll play your wedding.
Awesome.
So we drive up there, and we play their wedding, and after the set, I take Josh's guitar, and I play them a song by myself, and then I get off the stage, and this guy walks up, and his name's Adam Faucett, and they also asked him to play. So I'm like, oh, this guy seems cool. Like, I got a like T-Rex T-shirt, like song, and all this. Like, he just was cool, and I was talking to him. He's just a cool dude, and he gets up there, and I felt immediately like in awe.
Mm.
Like by definition, he's awesome.
Mm.
He's I think he's very authentic. Like I'm very much all about the idea of like, are you what you appear to be? Are you what you seem to be? And I take that all the way to music. And when I'm listening to music, I want to know, is this who you actually are? Even if it's a performance, because there is some drama in some performances, but it's true, it's genuine.
Of course.
But I could say a million things there, but that's just for example. But like, I look for that in a musician and in music. And as soon as he started, I was like, I believe this dude. I think he is what he appears to be.
Mm.
And his storytelling abilities, his
Yeah.
voice, like you hear the recordings of his voice and his music, and it's fucking awesome. But like, you hear this dude live, and it's like eerily perfect. It's just, you could be talking, and then I was at this tattoo shop one time. See, I'm so excited now. I'm just bunny hopping.
Hell yeah, please. This is what
So,
it's about.
I was at this like tattoo shop party thing with a bunch of friends, and he was playing, and everyone's like chatting and drinking, hanging out, partying, and he just one strum of that guitar, and the whole room is like whoosh, silence.
Yeah.
And no one, it's like no one was breathing the whole time he was playing. I think he's incredibly special, and I probably talk about him way too much whenever I'm asked, like, so what do you listen to? What are you into? Like, I probably do that too much, but I really believe in him, and I think I hope like this exposes him to people that have never heard him before, and I'm super jealous of anybody that has never heard him before, because gets to be your first time.
Well, I mean, that was
Yeah.
me, Melody, for like the last couple of days I've been spending with this record and some of his other stuff and everything like that. And so much of what you said there, like, yeah, authenticity, I think, is like the biggest thing. And especially with this type of music, the kind of like singer-songwriter, folk, Americana type of deal, like you really have to, like hit it raw or just like rip the band-aid off, just go straight in. There's no like beating around the bush on that. And it's
Yeah.
so hard to do. One of the things that I wrote about this is like the fact that like he makes it seem effortless, both the way that he writes his lyrics and like the delivery and everything, because there is also with his singing voice, there are like he's got a huge range of like how it sounds. It's not just the kind of like country sitting on your porch like strumming a guitar type of stuff. Like there's some actual like rock singer moments on here where you're like, this dude has some fucking pipes going for him. And yeah,
Mhm.
I loved what you said too about the fact that he just like plays and everyone shuts up. I was reading about him through this like blog, or like I think it was either a review of this album or something like that, and that's basically how they started it, where the writer was basically saying that like he was just like setting up his shit while everybody was like talking and drinking and like unassuming and whatever, and then he didn't do like no pomp or circumstances. He just like started playing and everyone shut the fuck up. So I don't know if he does that every single time, but that's basically like a superpower right there.
Yeah, he's something, but it was such a pleasure to like. I fucking hate saying that. I was like Chick-fil-A talk, but it was a pleasure seeing him play. And, at that
Chick-fil-A
wedding,
talk.
the chickenese.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he inspired the shit out of me that night. I never forgot about him, and I never stopped listening. And I am not I am not lying when I say I've probably spun this record, like 100 times,
Hell yeah.
at least.
Yeah, and I could see why, because like the storytelling, the sequencing, the emotions and like the different types of instruments that he uses, the production, like I get it. Like I see why, and I'm excited that you I was wondering what you might have picked, right? Because there could go so many different ways. Everything. I was like, is she gonna do just fucking like Soundgarden, Acid Bath? Who fucking knows? I love that you went for like someone that has inspired you but isn't that well known, because I think that even if someone is not really well versed in this sort of type of like alt country Americana, I don't even really know how to label it because it doesn't really like have a sort of like definitive kind of style that goes on there. But I think that if anyone just enjoys like rock and roll, genuine music, and like emotions with their shit, there's a lot of crossover there, or just like, even just that like southern blues rock. But I love the fact that there's so much crossover there, and I think that people who might not really be into this type of music normally could really get their claws in it just because of how like raw and visceral his lyrics are and how just like simple the songs are to kind of like get in your brain.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm an overthinker, so choosing an album, I was like, man, I really wanted to do like Angel Dust. I really
Mm,
wanted to go into Megadeth, and like there's so many bands that like for a lot of reasons have are special to me and have
sure.
influenced me vocally mainly. But I started to think about it. I'm like, I could do that, and I'd be really cool. I get some cool points, I could fucking Soundgarden it. But I was like, man, I want to support my where I come from in my music community. Like those bands, awesome. Got nothing but good things to think and feel towards
Yeah.
them. But like, they don't need help. Like I said those band names, you know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I feel like our community, I just want to like love on it, lift it up, and like and share what I think is amazing, and then hopefully, I don't know, maybe there's whatever, you know what I mean.
Yeah, someone's gonna come by and someone's gonna find it that wouldn't have normally come
Mhm.
across that, which is so important, and I love that. You'll just have to come back to do a fucking Megadeth record at some point, which is totally fine for me. Is there anything else before we start this record that you want to prep anybody for, that you want to say, or that anything like that?
Not really. I figure, I'm pretty chatty, so I figured I'd probably talk about a lot of what I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
I do. I do want to say this. This album. So I'm kind of like obsessed with finding a D&D team, Dungeons and
Hell
Dragons.
yeah, let's go.
Really want to be a dungeon master, but so
Okay.
I think about it like this album, and it'll make more sense as we listen to it and talk about the songs and like how they make me feel or what they make me think about. But I was thinking about like my character in a D&D situation would be like a wolf that was split equally and tragically between being like really really good and really really evil, and like battling that right in the middle, which kind of sounds like a human being. But this album tears me like right down the middle and makes me feel like really good and really bad at the same time. And it's like it just spins into, you know, when you can make a song, you know, about yourself and meaning like remembering like some songs I start to recall like things I've done wrong. Or I start to recall things that other people have done wrong to me, or like the good that could happen or the good that I've done. So I feel kind of like the imaginary wolf monster person that I'm trying to be in the future.
Yeah, I love that. I'll have plenty of D&D questions to ask you. We can get. I have DM'd a couple of campaigns before, not very well, but I've done it before. It's a lot of fun. You'll enjoy yourself. So that is the wish for that you could get your DM party.
Yeah, it's just storytelling. I like sadly walk up to people at work and I'm like, hey, I heard you had a D&D group. Is there any, hey, you need anybody? And they're like,
can I join? And like a little backpack. Yeah.
We're all full. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna go sit at that other table then.
Well, I'm prepped. I'm ready. I'm so excited to do this, and yeah, we'll talk about the duality of his songs as well. I've got my notes on like some of the lyrics and shit like that, which is just like some of these turns of phrases that he has in there, are just like holy shit. So yeah, let's do this. Are you ready, Mel? I'm hovering over play right now, and I'm gonna count 3, 2, 1, play when you're ready.
Okay, hold on. I gotta unlock my phone.
Yeah.
I gotta get into my phone, Sonny. Yeah. All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Your
okay.
Dog's cute, by the way. I like his spots. They're real big and then they're real small.
Yes,
cute.
they are. He kind of looks like a cow. That's Buster. Yeah. This is It Took the Shape of a Bird by Adam Faucett in 3, 2, 1, play.
King Snake, the friendly snake.
Immediately when this started, I got like vibes of like Something in the Way off of Nevermind, just the way that kind of like echoes out a little bit. Obviously, like very different song, but just this kind of like melancholy, quiet chords that are almost like nothing that just build into this thing.
His guitar playing is something else, man. He chooses some very unique chord structures.
Yes.
I love it when somebody can sing a story as if it's coming like off of a piece of paper, just as a thought, as you're just like writing with ease about like your day, not necessarily worried about like a rhyme or does this fit. It's like he's just reading you something that he's written down. He's singing it to you, and he does it. His vocal phrasing and his lyrics are very impressive.
Yeah, like in this one, like obviously Daddy died when I was 10, Mama soon there followed him. You already know that this song is going to be huge, but what popped out to me is the line, stayed with the cousins, lived on top of eggshells, and then when he brings that back around, talking about the child who's having a fantasy about their brother, talking about how they're crushing all these eggs as loud as they can, just like that imagery to bring that back is just like, who fucking thinks of that,
Yeah.
Like that's literary. That goes beyond just like, writing lyrics or like music or whatever, but that's like thinking about these metaphors to bring them back around and make another point and unfolding everything as it goes. There's another song we'll talk about later where the same line has 20 different meanings when he repeats it over and over and over throughout the song.
Yeah. And that's like, that really speaks to me because I love that style. I love it. I love what it does in my mind. I love what it does to me emotionally. Like I love getting in my head and like thinking about things, and I feel like you can interpret his songs in so many different ways. I had a literature teacher tell me when I was like 13, you can never assume that what's being written is actually the writer's story.
Mm.
I think this is his story. What he's going through or has been through, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's really cool when you can feel that it's like, no, this isn't about something else. This is I'm singing my story to you. And it seems very heavy, and I can insert my childhood into it, and I love that too, that lyric. Living on top of eggshells. It's
Yeah.
like, and crushing them, like you said. It's like it just reminds me of my childhood and the people I grew up around, the things I went through, and how you like you couldn't rattle anything, and you couldn't talk about it, and if you did, like it was like a mess, like tossing eggs around.
Yeah.
I love that. It makes me feel really heavy when I listen to that song.
Yeah, and which is like, you said the word, right? This is heavy in such a different way than like maybe some of our like dyed in the wool metalheads might be used to. But I mean, you can think about, what Steve Von Till is doing now with his acoustic stuff away from Neurosis, right? But there's still a lot of that ethos in what he's doing, just in a different way. And like whether it's doom metal or avant garde or anything that puts that in, this is just like another way to make the type of emotions that people who like quote unquote heavy music to get into, just in a little bit different of a casing than people might be used to.
I don't necessarily think heavy is like a sound. It
Yeah.
is, but it's not exclusively like heavy. Um, it's I think heavy lives in the heart, just like punk rock can live in your heart. You can be punk rock as fuck. Like I think this dude's punk rock.
Yeah,
Like
so much so.
it's a mentality. It's like a headspace, and the heavy is definitely here for him. I guess I can't remember when it was, but he was on tour opening up for Weed Eater, or
Oh
yeah,
damn. Fuck
it
yeah.
was like I'm guessing like a year and a half ago, something like that.
Hmm.
Which that they're familiar with each other, but like it was so cool to see that, and to see maybe like, oh, these Weed Eater is going out, and these people are gonna come see them and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
So I keep doing this for some reason, but
Because you're
yeah,
excited, you're listening to music that you love. That's why I do the same thing, just fucking bouncing all over the place.
But going back to what I was saying about feeling bad about yourself, like well, how this album can kind of do that to me. This is the Central Avenue song.
Dude, yeah.
It's it reminds me of a time that I burned someone just stupidly, really hurt someone because I was too much of a coward to say what I was actually like feeling
Yeah.
and going through, which I was younger, so I was in my like 30s, but like it was kind of heartbreaking what I did, and I carry it with me. Well, not as much now. I learned to forgive myself, but like this song, I feel like it's me on my motorcycle pulling up to like this person's, like pulling up into their space and remembering like what I did to them. And it's like he's singing, obviously not about my situation, but in my mind it's like, oh, this is that person watching me pull up and being like, yeah, you think, and this is what I actually think of you. It's a very heavy song. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, I really want to skip this because it reminds me of this, but it's such a good song. It's not about me. But
Yeah, I definitely, like for me when I was listening to it, I definitely got like at first I got like, oh, breakup song, right? Because it has that feel to it. But then when you're listening to it, it's so much more than that. It's almost like a, goodbye to an older version of yourself, not just a person. I mean, obviously there is that, it's specifically speaking about a someone in there, but it's also all of the feelings that you literally just described, not just like that one person, but everything else that you attach to it. And
mhm.
it's funny that you said, you could see, yourself driving up to someone's space on this. Cause like I definitely it was like movement music, like driving through the city at like 3 o'clock in the morning and you have like, you can't sleep, you don't know what else to do. And it's just a soundtrack of those like thoughts that you have, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love like albums that just become a soundtrack for like I have a lot of those driving like through the desert. There's like so many albums that come to mind that are just like I gotta be listening to this.
Yeah.
Like I need to hear "Obscured by Clouds" by Pink Floyd. While I'm once I get right here in Arizona to that point, and then it's gonna be M83, and then like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I've cruised around to this album a lot.
Yeah, I could see that. It is a good like windows down and like a warm breeze kind of coming in. I mean, if you're on a bike too, just like the windows are already down, right? That's kind of the
Yeah,
function of it.
all the time.
Yeah, crazy. But like also, yeah, it is like just the weather that we have right now. Because we're recording this like late May, summer's like just starting to go, but because of the storms, there is that coolness in the air and the breeze that you're talking about. It does feel a little bit like fall, where you've got a little bit of that warmth during the day, but then the night comes and you gotta like a chill on. And this is just like, I went to school in college in Kentucky, and this is just like something that you would have a bourbon on the porch, watching the like grass grow, like blow in the wind as the sun is going down, type of stuff.
Yeah.
I dig it. You said a couple of things as far as like Adam's lyric writing, which I'm curious because you're like the style of lyrics that you write, and we've talked about this plenty before, is very much a multiple interpretations of something. Like you can kind of tell what's going on, but you want to leave it open to the listener to kind of put their feelings into it, like he is doing here. What are your thoughts about the two different ways that you and Adam kind of approach storytelling and lyrics and the way that you create your music?
I I would love that's a question I would like to ask him.
Hmm.
What is his process? But I for me, ever since I was a kid, and this may be because I didn't want my parents to understand me, but I've always like as far as language goes and like expressing myself, I've always struggled to do that. And I
Mm.
feel like it honestly not to bring it to this place of like talking about sobriety, but it wasn't until I became sober that I was able to like speak clearly.
Mm. Mm.
It's my brain healed on so many levels, like all the way down to speech. But growing up, like I could only because of I have and probably more so. I think all of us maybe feel this way, or a lot of us. I had a high imagination when I was a kid, and I would like I'd float around in my mind and go to places and like unzip this like black cloak and look. I'd see my grandmother drinking scotch on the rocks, and like I'd go places. I traveled everywhere. So it was very natural for me when I started writing lyrics to kind of come from that place of like, this is my magical little world, and
Mm.
I want to tell you things and I want to talk about things, but I don't know how to express them in any other way than leaving them very open to interpretation, which for music, it has benefited me. For relationships and interaction with people, not so much. Like some
Yeah.
people are like, this is interesting. I would like to try to figure out what the fuck you're saying because I'm so confused right now. And I'm going to stick around and try to find out. Or some people are just like, I'm out. This is weird. I don't get it. You're driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think not to take away from this album, but like to relate it to Adam Faucett, I think that's the one thing I love so much. One of the many things I love so much about his writing is I can relate to it in that way because I feel like he's like you said, leaving it open to interpretation. I feel like it's his little magical world of like this is me, and I don't know how to say it any other way.
Yeah.
He's somebody you should definitely interview.
I would love to after like listening to this stuff because I'm sure that he's got just so much to say. You know how you sometimes you can just like read someone's lyrics or in their music. You're like, yeah, I bet you could. You could talk about your music endlessly. I'm sure you've got fucking stories from all the places that has gotten you endlessly. It's just like you can tell. Yeah, this song I wrote down that it feels. It sounds like a hazy, terrible, drunken night. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like maybe something that would have been in that scene in The Big Lebowski where they're like doing the bowling and stuff like that, like the trip. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, exactly. But also, again, talking about like bringing stuff around, he conjures this image of New Orleans early in the song. And then now we've got this like grimy, bluesy, fucking fuzzy solo that they're just putting out to kind of like, oh, now we're, back in the French Quarter somewhere as we're like going back on this endless cycle of this terrible night.
Yeah, it's like a really sweaty sounding song. Like I feel like it's like
Yes.
you just like, man, I remember plenty of times I was in New Orleans in the bathroom with a bag of something, and it's like my face is on fire because I snorted God knows what the fuck, like, and it's just everything goes bad, and you just don't even know where you're at. You're like, why did I end up here in this house next to this mannequin talking to this person and like dressed in a trash bag? This is
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, no, this feels like a very chaotic song, like just coming out of like some kind of fucked up stupor. This song Dust is
This is a sad song.
we both just like
Yeah, it's just, oh man, well, so how are you doing today, Melanie? I'm doing good.
it makes me think of it reminds me a little bit of like pre-death of my father. Like it's like the the voice memos that he left on his iPhone to me, because it's like when you first started like could start doing that, like leaving the audio messages or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was just like saying all this stuff about how he couldn't take it anymore and he thinks it's time. And I was sending him like, Dad, it's just like a ball and chain. You just gotta keep dragging whatever you're dragging and you'll get through. And he was just like, no. And I've never really talked much about this, but I'm trying to be more open about it because, as you know, like talking helps like heal parts of you. It just makes it a little lighter.
Yeah, and I appreciate you trying to want to share that with me, or share this with me,
But like before my father committed suicide, it was just like it was just this like this song Dust has that feeling of like, oh, it's inevitable. Like there is something happening and it's already, set in motion. Like there's no changing what's coming.
No matter what you try, and you try to do whatever you can, but it still is not going to make any difference.
Yeah.
No.
And this song makes me think of that. Like my dad's last message to me was literally like a breath, and I don't know if it was like a frustration breath or what, or if he meant to send it, but it was like an audio recording. And then I tried calling him, he just wouldn't answer, and then it was over. But I just distracted myself because it just makes me go into those thoughts.
Yeah.
Not in a sad way, but like these lyrics here, how he's like, this part. It's like this, I loved your mama, so tell her so. Like, just, it reminds me kind of like when we tried to save my dad because he overdosed on purpose, but also on accident. He kind of woke up from it and was like, what have I done? Like, I didn't mean, I wanted to kill myself, and now I'm not so sure I do. And he said, what have I done? And then he passed out. But like, I just think of like, I wonder if he ever wanted to say things that he just like physically wasn't able to because he was just on life support. Like, I don't know. I think about my mom. This song this is getting heavy now.
Yeah, it is. But like, this is what we signed up for. Because I mean, the start of this, I never understood until, or some folks need God. This I never understood until I saw the dust of rock bottom on the knees of my friend. I mean, I think like as hard as it is, and as like terrible as it is what you've gone through and what you've like had to live with and everything like that. I think by Adam sharing his pain and, this story and stuff like that, it is helping you share yours, and like people are listening to this and hopefully it can help them share, and it's like it's a good type of cycle of trying to get stuff out and talk about it and stuff like that, because it is some very, very heavy stuff, but
Yeah.
please continue if you're able to.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that. I've never thought about it like that. That it does. I mean, that it's to be honest, like I shockingly and it came out through therapy. Like I don't think I really faced my father's death. I didn't
Mm,
like really look at it or allow myself to like go deep with it.
mm.
But even just in doing this, fun thing, we're listening to a record, we're talking about it. It's like even in that moment, like I just felt like I just kind of ripped away for a second and was like, oh man, I need to like. It's okay to talk about that, but like I
Yeah.
still have like things in there to heal, and had we not sat down and be like, let's zoom, let's listen to this album. So it's cool. Like I that's a beautiful thing. Like that's the beauty of music, like you don't
Yeah.
hope to give that away.
Hey, everybody, this is John with a little post production editor's note. At this point in the conversation, Melanie's laptop battery died, and it took a few minutes for us to reestablish the Zoom connection and get our train of thought going on. But thankfully, to the magic of editing, you won't have to deal with any of that. I just wanted to let you know so the next cut doesn't feel so abrupt. Back to the show.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So
Technical
sorry about
difficulty.
that.
We're back.
I charged my laptop fully and somehow it just dies all the time. It doesn't even matter what I do. I kind of lost my train of thought on all that, which
Yeah, I don't know either. Because we were talking about like a heavy ass topic, and then it just
yeah.
yeah.
And then the screen went black.
Then the
and I was
screenplay
like,
brown. I was like, oh shit! We got so down. There's like you have to do a hard reset, everybody.
yeah. So, well, we were talking about how this album inspired that conversation, which you never know. Like when I make music, like I have the role of like playing bass and then coming up with melodies on the bass and vocal melodies, and then the lyrics with
Hmm.
that. When I write, my hope is always to do what just happened, like
Mm.
to be able to tell my story but have it maybe means like something, maybe somebody can relate to it and be like, that's exactly what I've been through, or to
Yeah,
take it and be like, I don't know what this is about, but this is healing me. It's a soundtrack to like my pain.
yeah.
That's what I hope, and I always try to like put the hope there in the end, but I don't really get that from Adam, but
No, but like you do because we talked about it when Rebuilding the Mountain came out. Like there were lines on that one that I was just like, "Holy shit!" Like yes, like I understand that. What was the one? I think it was in Pole where it's like, my feet kept the rhythm in time. Like that whole couplet right there is like you're just like the idea of just like, well, I'm not feeling it right now, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but you just like what you said, you drag that ball and chain, and you just keep doing it like that right there is like, and that's only like a specific example. There are plenty of others throughout the record, but like, yeah, like your guys' music and specifically your lyrics definitely do that.
well, cool. I want, one day I'll be floating in the ether somewhere,
Mm,
maybe turning into a cool hawk or a cool person, or um I don't know what will happen, but I believe we cycle through this over and over and over again. So to be able to like take this trip, take this ride and be alive and make music and enjoy music and be
yeah.
inspired by music, like I won't hopefully. Okay, so there's some lyrics of Adams where he says on this album, I can't remember what song, but it's like somewhere somehow another us is doing all this right, like
Mm,
like I don't know, it makes me think of like quantum physics, like you're just you're existing somewhere else, like in another lifetime. I just hope that somewhere in another lifetime I'm like, I want to leave behind music everywhere I go and every life I live.
I love that. Yeah.
But
This song right here. talking about, this is just like a porch rock song. But I love how this line that he has where he's like, I sing it from the hilltops, but it just came out the blues. And that line, that idea of like, no matter what I do, it all comes out the blues, kind of like gets into exactly what you were just talking about right now. Like, no matter what I do, it all fucking comes out in some sort of like musical way or whatever. But I love that changes depending on the context and like what comes before and after it, or like how he sets it up. And that just like, again, like songcraft 101, just like literacy in there, to be able to change a meaning of something as it's in the middle of being, read or sung to you.
Yeah. To me, it feels like it's like almost like a feeling of like just giving up. It's like, okay, I'm just, no matter what, I can't win with whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure of like where I stand in all of this, but what does it matter to you is kind of
Mm.
how it feels. And I've definitely listened to this song while I don't know if I need it in my life. I don't really think I attracted it, but I feel like I'm constantly trying to make myself feel like disconnected or untethered from things, or like I never want to drop an anchor. Like I reference anchors a lot in our music, and
Yeah.
I just don't. It's like I throw an anchor down and then I quickly uproot it. I'm like, no, I can't stay here. And this is like a song, Living on the Moon. I come back to this song a lot when I'm trying to process the reasons why I feel like I can't stay somewhere or be
Interesting.
tied to
Okay.
something.
Yeah.
And then it makes me feel very like alone. Here's the wolf man talking. It makes me feel very alone.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just like going because like for me, like this song is all about isolation in a bunch of different ways, which I'll get into after you're done. But I also says like this song sounds like a dog howling at the moon. You know what I mean? Like it is like the musical equivalent of that, from like the way his voice is almost cracking to that kind of like country-ish that he's got into it. Just like you could just replace like soundtracks of dogs howling at the moon over those guitar chords, and it would still be a good song.
Yeah. It's yes, the isolation part, absolutely. And it's kind of been a soundtrack for me when I'll like wander around my neighborhood at night sometimes, and sometimes I go buy a bag of chips and like a soda water. It's like wander and put my earbuds in.
Mm.
It just makes me feel like, okay, I've made a decision. I'm not living here anymore. Like weirdly enough, Living on the Moon is the title of the song, but that's not, I wasn't like playing off words, but
Yeah.
it's like when I don't feel like I need to live somewhere anymore, emotionally, spiritually, uh, physically even, I come to this song and it makes me feel like it's just me. I'm the lone wolf. Like I don't
Hmm.
fucking need anyone. Like I get it. That's all that matters. I don't fucking care. And I just eat my chips. Drink my soda
Drink
water.
your soda water. What I love about this is I come at this song from a completely different perspective of loneliness. You know what I mean? So it is still that, but in a way. So after college, before I settled in Nashville for like 2 or 3 years, I was moving like every 6 months, to whether it was back home or whether it was to like another town where I didn't know anybody, or like all of this other stuff following jobs. So like, making friends was really hard, or like I just hung out basically with the people that I worked with, because it was like, why even go through the effort of trying to like make inroads in this community when I know in like 4 months I'm going to be like going out. So I just like, this song conjures up those nights in those fucking like cold, fucking like small ass barren Midwestern towns where I'm just like in my room with Buster, with my dog, just being like, man, like I wish I could call someone right now, or but I don't have anyone to call. I don't have anyone to hang out with. So I just like, again, kind of that me and you against the world type of deal, but in a very different way. Which all from the same song. So I just, yeah, that's the magic that you were talking about, Melody, as far as
Yeah.
like being able to get those two different things from like one fucking thing.
It's interesting to hear you say like that you felt like alone, like you didn't have friends, and just I was just kind of like imagining what that's like. And I felt that way when I was a kid.
Mhm.
But like in my adulthood, like it's like you wish you had someone to call, and sometimes I wish I had no one to call. Like it's a
Mm.
weird feeling to feel like I've got so much love and so many friends and so many people around me, and I love them very much, and I'm very like trusting of them and open with them. But then there's this other part of me that's like, I don't want to be around anyone kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I like really long to just like sometimes I just don't ever want to like speak again. Like
Hmm.
it's really as I get older, it's like a really weird feeling. Like I wrestle with that like I just want to like get on my motorcycle and ride and live in the woods and only come out to play music and
Yeah, I mean, I
oh,
understand that because I get that even now, and as
mhm,
far as just like, yo, you know what would be great to just kinda, like, disappear from society, again, go into the woods, have, like, a little, like, fucking, like, vegetable patch and my dogs and my cats, and, like, that's fucking it because who needs anything else that is out there right now? But also, there is a lot of, like, good shit out there and community is great. I have just always found, and especially, like, through my 20s when I was, like, moving a lot, it's just, like, I enjoyed my solitude, right? Like I'm totally fine just being by myself. Whether it's like if I've got some albums, some books, or like maybe like a streaming show, like I am good for like fucking ever, dude. Like I don't need to go out and like, obviously I do need my like social recharge every once in a while. But as I got older, it was just like, yeah, okay, like I could, like I saw you guys recently, and we had a really good night, and now I'm fucking tired. I need my like 4 days of like alone time in order to recharge, type of deal. Such is the case of being an introvert. But yeah, it was both good and bad because like yeah, I would have been able to like be in my head and like live with myself and enjoy my company, and then really fucking hate my company and go into this spiral, then figure out, oh hey, I need meds to kind of like enjoy my company again,
yeah.
but then on the other side of that, it's like when you enjoy your solitude a lot, sometimes you realize that you don't have anything else but your solitude.
Yeah. But just it's just interesting to hear different like there are so many ways to feel lonely and that song,
Yeah.
you know, makes me feel lonely in like a rebellious way.
Yeah.
And that's my loneliness. Like it's just a rebellious like doesn't really do me any favors, but I don't know, it's just kind of cool to hear people like interpret music in such different ways all the way down to like what we're talking about and not to keep talking about it but like the
Yeah.
loneliness thing like oh that's another perspective of feeling lonely that's and I'm sorry you felt that way
It's all
I,
right.
you know
I've had big feelings for as long as I can remember, and they're gonna
yeah
keep happening. So, and like I said, we're in a good spot now from just therapies and medications, and having a supportive partner, and just kind of like focusing on what I want more in my life, and like focusing on that rather than when you're in your 20s and you're trying to people please or put up appearances or like try and
right.
walk this path that you feel like you should be walking for whatever reason, that just it takes a long time to figure that shit out, and some people figure it out sooner than others. But it's just it's a process, like we were talking about.
Yeah, right, are you on
Right,
rain
dude.
now?
Yeah, dude. This is what happens every time we
I
just get
know.
into some deep conversation, and the next thing is like, oh shit, we're on the in this case the second to last song. But that song Axe may be my favorite song on this record. When it gets through with it, I mean the lyrics, time won't heal all wounds, I promise you that it will rip all the meat off your bones. That's a fact. That's just like fuck. Fuck.
You imagine somebody being pissed off like in the middle of an argument saying that shit to you.
Yeah, just like, well, now I'm depressed. That doesn't give me any hope right there.
It's the
Um,
fucking truth though, you know.
yeah, it's I hear your keening woman. I hear you keening woman as others hear a tune. That line fucks me up. Like I could like go over that and think about the ramifications of that all day.
Yeah. See, he's like, I mean, without us chatting over it, I can't wait for, when I'm on the road or whatever in June, if somebody listens to this and is like, dude, I listened to that. I got into Adam Faucett. Holy shit. I hope this is as exciting for someone else as it was when I discovered it and how it is for you too.
Yeah. Yeah, and like this song, so Rain, there's like a soulfulness and like a sultriness in this song that isn't in any of the other songs on this record. Like I wrote down that at parts of this song, I guess we'll get to it, like he could be Chris Cornell's little brother
Yes.
at the end, you know? And it's just like from the way that he ended the previous song Axe and then this one, again, just getting into that range and that diverseness of his voice where
Mhm.
it's not just this, you know, twangy southern singer, you know.
Yeah. He's
Mm.
got I love that the chorus, I think it's coming up. This voice, man. So miserable.
Like, yeah, dude.
I'll be your head doctor. That feels to me like it makes me think of like what do you need? Like what is going to
Yes.
pump life into you? What
Yes.
can you like where can I cut myself? Like where do you want to suck the blood out of? Where do you want to suck my life out of me? It's like I'm here. Like is there I can't do anything more for you. And then I
Yeah.
wonder if that's what it's about and like the title Rain being like how it feels, you know? Like it's just this fucking rain cloud
It does
over
feel
your
like you could see the rain in this song. Like it feels like a fucking stormy day in this, which
Mhm.
again, getting into the evocativeness and the you know, the imagery in both the lyrics and the music. Actually, I did write down. This is a point that I wanted to make. Is like you can, even if you didn't have lyrics in this, you could almost still picture what like what the he's singing about through just the music alone, you
Yeah.
know. And it's like so you can picture the song in your mind, and then he adds the extra lyrics to it that just like puts everything in perspective. And yeah, exactly what you were saying, because I love the, you know, I'll be your head doctor, I'll be your sunny day, I'll be your rain. Like the juxtaposition of that is like, dude, okay, so if you don't need, I'll be this thing, but if you want me to be the exact opposite thing, I can be that for you as well. Like it doesn't matter.
It's like if I were to make a music video about it, it would be like this super bright rainbow, like arched over like him playing guitar and singing this song, and like at the same time having this crazy fucking storm. And as the storm rages and like becomes more powerful, like the rainbow, just colors of the rainbow, it's still present, but they just fade. And then by the end of the video, it's just everything's black and white.
Damn.
And like
Yeah.
maybe you could see his bones through his skin,
Oh, fuck
blood
yeah.
rain. Uh, no, I just Sober and Stone. Sorry, I just saw that.
This
I
song. Oh
love this
man.
song
Yeah, dude.
because
And
sometimes
again,
I feel sober and stoned. I'm feeling sober and stoned.
I love so you're talking about the genuineness in his lyrics and in the music and stuff like that. I love the choice to have an acoustic song at the end of this album, and like especially after the last couple electric ones, it just feels so organic and so like down in the dirt almost, to like end on that sort of note with everything kind of stripped back a little bit more, where you could just like hear the raking of the pick on the
Yeah.
strings and stuff like that. It was a lot of thought was put into everything on this record.
It's like you can almost like you can see him the end of a movie, and now it's like you've seen this whole life story, and it's going back to like like first thing that comes to mind is the movie Blow, how it's like this whole
Mm,
story about this guy's life, and at the end you see the dude, like the actual dude the movie's about, and it's like
yeah.
showing him in prison and whatnot. It's like now he's on that like porch in Arkansas being like, so I have this vision for this album, and then it just like
Yeah.
that. Like I feel like this, and I could be wrong, but it to me it's like, oh, I wonder if this is a representation of like where you came from. Like this is the beginning of this whole experience that we just had listening to the album.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It captures a lot of like all the nuances in his voice too.
Mm.
But it's pretty listening to his voice on this album, like he there wasn't a lot done to it. There wasn't
No.
any bells and whistles, like hardly any reverb. Like it's like
Exactly. Yeah.
very stripped down. And seeing him live, like just on a microphone with no effects, you get an even better version of that.
It's crazy to me when like because I've seen artists do that before. It's just them in like a banjo or them in a guitar, and still like the most captivating thing that you've ever seen. And you're just like, fuck, Jesus Christ, people, holy shit, that's some magic right there.
That's that's the
Melanie, that is, it took the shape of a bird. It's a really good fucking album.
yeah. Yes. I love throwing a curveball, and it's like, yeah, I'm a metalhead deep down in my heart. I'm a lot of things, but I just really appreciate and any album that I can come back to over and over and over and over again. And every time I have some kind of experience, and with this one, it's just that feeling of inspiration. I just really respect that. I respect a well written song, especially I'm a sucker for lyrics, so and melodies. I love a good vocal melody.
You know, not that we have to classify anything, but if I was gonna like tell someone about this, it's like, I don't know, it's like post Americana, it's like folk rock, it's like alt country, it's also like rock and roll. Like I don't, it's just like go listen to it because it's if you like rock and roll, you'll find something in it because it has that spirit.
Yeah, it's very. I don't even know what to call it. I just call
Yeah,
it Adam Faucett.
yeah, exactly. Which
I
is also I
just
feel like a huge compliment to begin with. Anyway.
Mhm. I'm glad you liked the album. I was like, man, what if it's like cool and I'm super into it, and he's just like, no, I feel you. That's cool, Mel.
Yeah,
That's cool for you.
yeah. I
But like,
understand why you like it, Melanie. I
yeah,
get, yeah.
I get it. I get where you're coming from. But to hear that you actually enjoyed it and you like it, and that's that's really cool.
Yeah, and I mean
That's
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show is not just to like pick brains of you know, artists that I respect and you know, listen to cool albums and stuff like that, but also I just know for a fucking fact that anybody who does music professionally is going to have so much more of a like fucking Rolodex discography in their brain just from like sheer like touring and sitting with people and hanging like the car rides and like all of that other shit. So I love it when people bring something a little bit, I don't know, out of left field a bit, especially with what we talked about is getting other people into music like this. But I love my sad girl shit, Melanie, and like this falls into kind of that role with just like a male singer. Is anybody who can get into those like raw, biting, makes you want to be depressed, but also you feel really good and want to listen to the songs over and over again type of music. There's a Nashville artist named Stephanie Lambring. Have you ever heard of her?
I yes.
Okay, yes, see, yeah, she was kind of
Yeah.
like the I guess, you know, without being reductive, almost like the female version of this type of lyric writing, that biting, really honest, really like, "Oh, the fuck, I can't believe you're singing about that shit," type of deal, and like, so, yeah, I already like and was predisposed to stuff like this, so, that's who immediately kinda reminded me in my mind.
Yeah, I was actually playing bass for Mike in his band that toured like a while back, and it was just I was just playing bass for, some shows, and she was playing one of the shows at and I don't remember where we were, Alabama? I can't fucking remember. We were in Nashville, I believe.
Hmm.
But anyway, I just remember she got up there and just started singing. I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, dude.
I
Yeah, dude.
immediately I painted a mustache on my face, pulled up a chair. There were like 8 people in the room. I just sat there and just watched her. I was blown away. So I'm glad you mentioned her because that's kind of like that's where I was coming from tonight with the Adam thing. So it's
Yeah.
trippy.
No, and because I was also going to ask, like, you know, so Adam has a bunch more records that I just, you know, I would throw on, you know, in the morning with a coffee or like in the afternoon while I was like on the porch taking in the day and like smoking a bowl of weed or something like that. And like I was really enjoying it. So I would say for anyone, just go explore his discography. But like, what other type of artist kind of like this in vain? If someone liked Adam Faucett, where would you point them? You know, obviously Stephanie Lambring as well, but like, what type of vibe do you think that if someone was like, "Wow, I've never really listened to this type of stuff before. I like it. Who else should I look at?"
I don't know. I guess I've compartmentalized it so much in my mind. I've been like Adam's kind of like in his own genre in my mind.
Yeah.
He's just kind of Adam Fawcett. I don't really compare him to anyone else. I don't hear anybody else when I listen to him. I don't think about other artists. Because it's easy sometimes to listen to someone and be like, "Oh, they probably come." Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, of course. I do it way too much, even for my own liking. A lot, you
Yeah,
know.
nothing wrong with that.
Of
It's
course
just
not.
with him, I just haven't been able to. I don't hear anyone else, and
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's great, and also would be another like, hey, if you weren't already intrigued, everybody go listen to this person that does not sound like anybody else.
yeah, I think it's safe to say he does it. He's very special. I'm glad we got to talk about him.
I am so glad that I am too, and I'm so glad that you introduced me to him, and we were able to like nerd out on just like music and this. I know the conversations got really heavy, but I know that I'm glad that you are in a spot now where you can you know have a stray thought of your father's suicide while we're like having a good time and just be like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened, and like yada yada going through. So and I'm also still proud of you for keeping up the sobriety and doing the things that you're doing, getting out of your comfort zone, trying new shit, and still just creating with Royal Thunder. So this meant a lot to me, Mlny, so I really really appreciate you coming on.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for asking me. And anytime your name pops up on my phone, I'm like, "What's up?"
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go, is there, you mentioned you were going to be on the road this summer. Is there anything that you want to plug, anything that you want to tell the people about? I know this is great. We're in like an in-between time with Royal Thunder, which is awesome because then we don't have to like do the rigmarole of like, well, now we've got to talk about the album and all this other stuff. We could just
Mhm.
fucking like chat.
Well, I'm not really a good plugger, and I'm not really into plugging, but I am very excited about this little run that we're doing with the Atlas Moth. It's been a long time since we toured with those dudes, so that would be
Mm,
cool. But I don't know if I have anything to say. It would maybe be to encourage other artists to take time to be alone and figure out or try to understand or get in touch with like who you are as an artist, and to be as authentic as possible, and to not try to be anyone else other than yourself, because I think music, uh, I'm not going to diss it, the AI and all the likeness. I don't want to call those things bad. They just are. I do think it's important to try to preserve that honesty and that authenticity, and that be true to yourself, know thyself, and find it. And I think that you don't find yourself and it's like, oh cool, I found myself. Oh man, awesome! Look at all it. Like that's a forever thing, uh, even beyond death. In my mind, I'm like, we're always gonna be like cycling. Like, whoa, this is fucking cool. This is a trip. It's like the Big Lebowski thing we were talking about. I think that's take a
exactly. Yes.
ride. But like on this journey, like this fucking living thing we get to do for a minute, like try to be fucking real about it
Yeah.
and leave an actual, real, true, authentic mark behind, because there's plenty of fake shit out there.
Yeah.
There's lots of pretending. Like there's a place for that in this world, but like why waste your time doing it that way? So I hope to inspire that in other artists, and I believe Adam's music can do the same. But
Hmm.
that's my trip. I like the real shit. So be real. I encourage you to be real, and it's possible. And it might be a struggle for some people to not be able to tap into it, but it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. I mean, it's easier, it's better to, go through the difficulty of trying to find out who you are than, live with the fantasy of trying to be someone else because you're not going to be happy. I feel like the most authentic version of myself right now, but I know that that is still we still got a long ways to go, baby, from like, where we're doing, because it's just a constant fucking process. And I feel like I've grown so much even in just like the last 5 years, but we've got a ways to go. Hopefully there's a lot of road in front of us, and it's just a process and everything like that. So yeah, Mlny, thank you again so much for sharing this with me, and just being genuine and chatting with me and listening to music. And yeah, I can tell you, from experience that there are people that are influenced from exactly what you just said, just like they're influenced from what Adam's doing. And you heard her, everybody. Just fucking be real.
Yeah, be real.
All right. Thanks so much, Mlny.
What's your dog's name again?
Buster.
Bye, Buster. You're cute. Oh, his ears went up.
Yeah, he heard his That was Royal Thunder's Mlny Parsonz telling you to be fucking real. Huge thanks to Mel for not only introducing me to Adam Faucett and this incredible album, but also just sharing her time to sit down and experience it with me. She's always been one of the most open and honest artists I've had the pleasure of interviewing, and I feel very, very fortunate that we've been able to develop this nice little friendship over the few years. So cheers, Mel. Appreciate you so much. Make sure you go check out It Took the Shape of a Bird. It's gotten a ton of spins for me over the last few weeks, and I urge you to sit down with the rest of Adam's discography, preferably with a couple fingers of bourbon, a nice little joint, or a tall glass of lemonade if you don't partake in either of those. Perfect weather for it right now. Porch weather, summer, thunderstorms. It'll be an amazing soundtrack to the hottest months of your life. And as I mentioned from the top of the show, he has a new song out called Anything for Sleep that came out maybe a week or two after we recorded this interview. So his ears must have been burning. If you made it this far, I'm sure I don't have to tell you to go check out Royal Thunder, but I'll say it again anyway. Rebuilding the Mountain is still getting plays for me, and songs from it are still popping up on my shuffled playlists. So just go for it, my friends. Support Mlny, support Royal Thunder, and support the things that you love. That's all I've got, everyone. Thank you as always for listening, for supporting, for enjoying. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on a podcast platform, please rate us 5 stars and share this with one of your very most metal friends. You can follow us on socials at Spinning the Wax and at StayPuffed_Malo. You can also hit us up on Patreon to become a supporter of the show directly, which gets you early access to these episodes, exclusive content, new music updates every single week, and an unedited version of the album listening portion of the show, so you can experience it in full with us like you were in the room. Next episode, I have Dan Tregenna from UK Gothic doom metal practitioners Opia, listening to an album that has huge meaning for both of us, Sentenced the Cold White Light. That'll be next time, my friends. We will see you then. Until that time, stay safe, stay sane, stay heavy, stay puffed. See you on the other side, y'all.